to take his only F1 win.
That one looks so weird. Like the other people who wanted that win ahead of you, holding you up and hoisting you up for that. That's so awkward.
By the
What's going on, guys? It is JJ here, back with a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the race video. Okay, so originally the search that we went out to go and look for was to look for the 2012 F1 season review. We were really unlucky to find anything that was like less than 20 minutes long. Which we will take a longer look at it in terms of the races, in terms of the quality, in terms of the competition. But instead, we did find the race video to talk about the 12 reasons why the 2012 F1 season was so brilliant. You guys have been telling me that it is one of, if not the best season in F1 history. So we're going to take a look at why and sort of what went down into it. And I think the race is the best place to do that because they're able to give a bunch of context for me to learn about it. So let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comments below. Let me know your favorite F1 season or maybe even your favorite race from this season. And let's get into the video. As well, guys, you can find the original video down in the description below.
The 2012 Formula One season was one of the most unpredictable and topsy-turvy campaigns in World Championship history. Like all classic seasons, it produced a tense title decider, but along the way there were incidents, accidents, surprises and wild performance.
Okay, it's not fixing itself. Sorry, I was waiting for it to try and fix itself from the auto, but well, there we go. Okay, sorry.
Swings that left nobody knowing what would happen next. Here are our 12 reasons why the 2012 F1 season was amazing. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Seven drivers: Jenson Button, Fernando Alonso, Nico Rosberg, Sebastian Vettel, Pastor Maldonado, Mark Webber and Lewis Hamilton won in the first 7 races of 2012.
That's what I wanted this season to be so bad. That is, listen, going into, because this 2022 season is like my first full F1 season, this is what I wanted. I wanted like it to be a Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull, and Ferrari bonanza with the new cars and the new regulations. And I wanted there to be a bunch of different winners from a bunch of different teams and just cause chaos. We haven't got chaos. Instead, we've got very much what looks like it's going to be a 2-horse race. In F1, but the racing is better. But that's what I wanted this season to be, like a repeat of this.
At the heart of the performance swings were the Pirelli tyres that baffled everyone. A change to a more square-sided shape was intended to spread the load on the tyre, but instead led to rear overheating and a struggle to get the tyres in the right operating window for a qualifying lap, particularly in the first half of the season. In total, 8 drivers from 6 teams won in 2012. Some loved the variety in the early part of the season, but some purists found it too random. Let us know what you think in the comments.
I loved it. I love that. I love that. I need to see the races now. I need to see what they're like.
The Ferrari F2012 was a dog at the start of testing, struggling with a Coanda exhaust design that was removed for the early flyaways, then not responding well to upgrades later in the season. While the F2012 later became an effective all-rounder, working the capricious Pirelli rubber well, on average it was only the 4th quickest car of the season. But Alonso still won 3 times, including one of his greatest wins in Valencia from 11th on the grid.
I've seen that race so many times.
Weather pole position at Hockenheim. His only 2 retirements were caused by crashes triggered by others. Alonso only lost out on the title in the Interlagos finale after one of the greatest failed title campaigns.
Michael Schumacher with a Monaco pole.
Schumacher took his 69th F1 pole position? Probably not, because despite topping qualifying for the 2012 Monaco Grand Prix, the Mercedes driver started 6th thanks to a grid penalty for rear-ending Bruno Senna's Williams in the preceding Spanish Grand Prix. Had it stood, this would have been the only pole position of Schumacher's comeback. But in Schumacher's mind, this was still a pole position given he was fastest on Saturday afternoon. That's why this performance, lapping 0.052 seconds faster than Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg, must not be forgotten. A few races later, Schumacher did hit the high points of his return with his only visit to the podium, 3rd place in Valencia.
So this was like Michael Schumacher's last goodbye.
It had been 7.5 years and 132 races since Williams had won, when Pastor Maldonado took his shock victory in the Spanish Grand Prix. The Williams Renault FW34 was a genuinely quick car, and he put it on pole position, albeit only after qualifying pace setter Lewis Hamilton was sent to the back of the grid.
What the
Despite
heck?
losing the lead to Fernando Alonso at the start, Maldonado undercut his way into the lead at the third round of pit stops to take his only F1 win.
That one looks so weird. Like the other people who wanted that win ahead of you, holding you up and hoisting
After
you
the
up for
race,
that. That's so
disaster
awkward.
was averted by the quick thinking and reactions of the Williams team members and personnel from rival teams when a fire erupted in the garage. This was caused by a spark when Bruno Senna's car was being drained of fuel, which then led to the fuel rig igniting. When Mercedes brought the title-winning Brawn team ahead of the 2010 season and turned it into its first Formula One works team in over half a century, expectations were sky high. But Mercedes was winless during its first 2 seasons back and headed into 2012 under pressure before Nico Rosberg, on his 111th Grand Prix start, took his maiden win in the Chinese Grand Prix to break the revived Silver Arrows team's victory duck. The victory was a landmark, both in Rosberg's pathway to becoming world champion in the future and the Mercedes journey to become the dominant team of the decade.
There really were a ton of landmarks in 2012. Holy hell.
McLaren driver Jenson Button won 3 Grand Prix in 2012, but it was an up and down season. He performed brilliantly when at one with the car, but could struggle when he couldn't get it to give him the characteristics he wanted. That led him down a set-up rabbit hole that left him finishing 16th, lapped by race-winning teammate Lewis Hamilton in the Canadian Grand Prix. Even so, he was still one of the strongest performers of the season, with victories in Australia, Belgium and Brazil. This was the last of Button's 3 seasons as Lewis Hamilton's teammate. Let us know in the comments below if you think Button was Hamilton's best teammate.
Really? Do you guys think he was his best teammate? I think it's Nico Rosberg. Just because they push each other to limits, untouchable.
A couple of difficult seasons after BMW quit F1, but in 2012 it often had a superb car in race trim thanks to the way it worked the Pirelli tyres. The team finished on the podium 4 times on its way to 6th in the Constructors' Championship and came close to winning the Malaysian Grand Prix. There, Sergio Perez was hunting down leader Fernando Alonso in the closing stages when he ran off track and had to settle for 2nd place. Perez finished on the podium twice.
Poor Checo, why? Not my guy, Checo.
Italy, while teammate Kamui Kobayashi took an emotional 3rd in his home race at Suzuka. Kimi Raikkonen had sat out the 2010 and 11 seasons after being dropped by Ferrari, but he returned with Lotus in 2012.
That's so weird. And then he went back to Ferrari later in his career, didn't he?
Finishing 2nd in Bahrain and pressuring Sebastian Vettel for victory. A consistently strong season culminated in victory in Abu Dhabi, during which Raikkonen uttered the legendary "Just leave me alone, I know what I'm doing" over the radio after being told by race engineer Simon Rennie how far behind Fernando Alonso was. But his earlier response under the safety car when told he needed to warm his tyres, "Yes, yes, 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 I'm doing it all the time, you don't have to remind me," proved a less valid response, given he really was losing tyre temperature.
Oh, we watched this one, didn't we? The Nico Hulkenberg miss.
Force India's Nico Hulkenberg led on merit. He was just under 50 seconds clear of 3rd place Lewis Hamilton, having not switched from slicks to wets despite rain, but still setting good lap times, and he only had Jenson Button, who also stayed on slicks, for company. Had the safety car not been deployed to clear debris, Hulkenberg would likely have won, or, at worst, finished 2nd. Hulkenberg was still in the thick of the fight for victory after the safety car, only to collide with Hamilton while attempting to retake the lead. Button won, with Hulkenberg finishing 5th after serving a penalty.
That's so disheartening. Poor Nico Hulkenberg. They banned Romain Grosjean?
Returned to Formula 1 in 2012, a prodigiously fast but error-prone driver. His darkest moment was triggering a massive start-line crash in the Belgian Grand Prix. The Lotus driver squeezed Lewis Hamilton onto the grass and into a spin. The out-of-control McLaren then pushed Grosjean into Sergio Perez's Sauber, launching the Lotus.
Oh yeah,
Fernando
this is where he
Alonso's
almost
Ferrari.
took off Fernando Alonso's
All
head.
were out, with Grosjean becoming the first driver to be banned from a race in 15 years. He was replaced by Jeroen D'Ambrosio for the Italian Grand Prix, and after returning was branded a first-lap nutcase by an angry Mark Webber at Suzuka, thanks to a clash. Grosjean felt the ban was unfair, but what do you think about the punishment? And did he learn from it?
I don't think he ever learned from it. I don't think he ever did.
Lewis Hamilton's future was a big talking point during the 2012 season, with McLaren keen to do a new deal with him. But Mercedes was also among those courting Hamilton, who was unsure whether to turn his back on the McLaren team that had nurtured him and taken him to the 2008 World Championship. The Singapore Grand Prix weekend proved decisive. Conversations with Ross Brawn and Niki Lauda, combined with the agony of losing victory to a gearbox failure, convinced Hamilton to sign on the dotted line.
And with
The move
Toto.
set the shape for F1 that remains in place to this day, with Hamilton going on to win 5 World Championships and counting for the Silver Arrows.
And now it's been 6. It's been 6 with them, and he's just sitting there waiting for number 8. It may never come. It may never come, it looks like. It's insane to think about. That's so insane to think about. Oh, Sebastian Vettel. Oh,
Sebastian
Vettel.
Vettel headed into the title-deciding Brazilian Grand Prix with a 13-point lead over Fernando Alonso, but he turned in on Bruno Senna at turn 4 on the opening lap and was tipped into a spin before the Williams then struck him again in the right rear wheel. Amazingly, Vettel was able to rejoin, but there were concerns on the pit wall about the damage. He'd lost some rear downforce, and there was also a crease in the exhaust. But Vettel and his Red Bull kept going, and he charged to 6th in a rain-hit race, 4 places behind Alonso, but high enough to take his 3rd World Championship by 3 points. Those are the race's 12 reasons.
That's absolutely insane. Because imagine had Senna just hit him maybe a little bit harder, Fernando Alonso wins another world title. Like, that's how close Fernando Alonso was and how unlucky he was for Sebastian Vettel not to get taken out in that race. That blows my mind. It actually does blow my mind. I need to see these races. I need to actually witness these races, because hearing them talk about how brilliant it is great. I need to see the action. I need to see the action. So let me know what races you guys want to see from the 2012 season, or if there's like a season review out there with the races that you guys really, really enjoy watching. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching though, and peace.